Hello everyone, Shamnali Gray here, Goddess Creations, speaking about the festival. The next festival in the year wheel cycle is Mabon. Mabon is that moment in the year when light and dark, so day and night, are equally as long. And I find it quite amusing that my face has now got this line across it. That is very symbolic for me. Mabon is that moment after you've had summer and you had lamas, where you start to tip and prepare. You are now entering that moment when light and dark, when day and night are equally as long. And we are taught in the Western world that this is on the 21st of September, like that. The beginning of fall. I may have mentioned before, but the beginning of fall is actually the 1st of August, and actually this moment is mid-fall, but those are technicalities. Mabon is the moment, as I said, day and night are equally as long. Symbolically, we can see it as that moment when the sun god, the sun, now loses the battle, loses the race against the dark. He now dies. He becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. So, of course, that was starting to happen earlier on, but this is the moment where, in pagan stories, let's say, the sun god, the god, dies. And the mother, the goddess, starts to grieve. You may know in a different version the story of Persephone, and how Persephone, who was before the daughter Kore, daughter of Demeter, Kore was a maiden who, according to Greek tradition, and it has different versions, was abducted, let's say, or went into the underworld to mate, to join with the god of the underworld, Hades, Pluto, depending on which tradition you are following. That moment of going into the underworld, be it by Persephone, Kore, who changes into Persephone, or the sun god, is that moment when the outside world starts to grieve. Demeter in the story grieves and refuses to take care of the land anymore. Plants die. Now, it doesn't happen like that, no, but let's bring it back to our times. The moment when, and you can see it, once again, Mabon is also the second harvest. I mentioned before Lamas, which is the first harvest, the harvest of the grain and the barley, where we use it celebrating wheat. We have now come to Mabon, where the second celebration is the fruits of the land. So we're talking about grapes and apples and pears and oranges and nuts. Everything that is ready drops to the ground. And this is that moment when you can say, thank you for the huge abundance, so much so that we can even accidentally lay it to waste. The abundance of the land that we have, all of the fruits of the land. And this is symbolized, how maybe you do it yourself. You go into the woods and you have a basket or a bag with you, and you just pluck all of those fruits of the land, because when they fall, that is a sign that they are ripe, and try and catch them before the other animals do. Speaking of which, this is also the time of the squirrel, who harvests nuts, chestnuts, and other nuts. Not that the squirrel takes the chestnuts, but this is the moment also of the nuts. Now, I don't want to be sending you all of this information, but I am trying to share with you that at this time, there is a lot going on energetically. We are surrounded by the abundance of life, the fact that things are now becoming colder because the sun, let's say, is dying. And we also have that with these things, these seeds, the harvests, think about our own harvests. What have we done? Which fruits can we pluck from what we have worked on so long this last year, or the last summer, or how you want to see it? What fruits can we enjoy? Which of these fruits do we want to put back into the ground to create a new plant and become new fruit seeds in the new year? What can we take with us into the winter times? All of these things, all of this energy belongs to Mabon, belongs to this period of the year. What are we letting go of? Because when there is abundance of fruit, many of them just lie along the road, wasting, rotting. What do you want to let rot? What are you taking with you into the dark to nurture, to put safely into the ground and take care of, so that when the time is right, it can come up again as a new radiant fruit, as new ideas, as new inspiration, as new whatever it is you wish. That also, that deciding moment, that moment of decision, what do you take with you, is also symbolic. You can use it in the sense of, if you are thinking about choices, if you are thinking about, let's just say your work, do you want to have a raise? Do you negotiating, talking, discussing, as Dutch would say, onderhandelen? Now is the time, so that whatever it is that you decide on can now be taken with you into the winter times to prepare so that you can bloom. And so we have still spoken about the fruits. Now, if you want, you can bring the energy of Mabon to you by dressing your home with brown and yellow and green and gold and even red, the ripeness, redness, beautifulness of apples. So we have the goddesses, the gods, and that symbolism, the dying god. Another thing, though, is that, and that's where I'm coming to animals again, is that when the god, let's say, the sun god, dies, he is replaced at that moment, at this moment, let's say, by the stag god. Stag is the male deer with the antlers. And you may have seen this image of this god before. It is an image of the wild dark woods. We are entering into that different time of in-between, just outside of our full awareness. So this is the moment of the stag god, and therefore the deer, and also the squirrel, and other animals like geese. They also are, geese symbolize the travel, the transition of time. You may have noticed that geese and some other birds trek towards the south where it is warmer for the winter. Trekking birds are that moment of change. These animals, these creatures, are symbols of Mabon. There is also the abundance which you can celebrate. You can celebrate the abundance by, of course, here we go again with food, creating a lovely pie of apples, of the fruits that you have found and gathered. Maybe a nut compote, maybe a nut jam or jelly, something with walnuts in it, or, and decorate your house with chestnuts. Enter into that energy. Now, I'm not telling you to, but being aligned to the wheels of the year and the different various layers of meaning help you to align to your cycle and your energy. Is this the moment to be charging on ahead? Is this the moment for tidying up? Now, that's not my strongest point, but I very much do realize that even in relationships, what does or does not suit you at this moment? What pattern do you want to break? Do you really want to take this with you to be nurtured, to grow in the spring again? Or do you want to just let it go? Now, here are some creative things that you can do around this period. Now, fire is also a wonderful thing to have. So fire, bonfire, getting together with family, celebrating, eating the lovely food out of the abundance of the land. Have a potluck, which is like sharing abundance with friends, with family. And yes, it may not be possible at the time, but even distancing or with intention, you can share of your abundance. And I've now just drawn a blank, so I'm going to pause. And in fact, enjoy the silence, even too. Creativity. This is also the moment where dolls are made. Scarecrows, those big scarecrows, especially in England or in certain cultural places. You have the scarecrows chasing away the birds from the land. Scarecrow is also a sign of the sacrifice, once again, of the sun god. Sacrifice that is made. And this sacrifice is so that we can have the bounty of the land. Bringing it differently, you can also, for yourself, in these modern times, especially in this year of 2020, when I am videoing this, but any other moment, because this is also the moment of, as letting go, you are releasing, you are grieving. Let it go. Maybe, as I said in the Lamas video, you are grieving for someone who passed away. Let us show gratitude for those who are caretakers, the sacrifice that they have given. The caretakers, the doctors, the teachers that have been working overtime as the world has been in pandemic and children have had to stay home. You know, all of these extra people, and therefore also sacrifice that you as a parent may have given. What sacrifices have you had, given, offered? What bounty has come from it? Can you see the uplifting side of it? So there is also that gratitude element. Now, I can be ranting and raving on so many various levels concerning Mabon, but I just want to share this with you because there are so many things in following the energy of the Wheel of the Year, following the cycles, grief, you know, death and rebirth, that swing, that balance. This is the balance of dark and light. What are you taking into the dark? Does it belong there? What do you want to take with you? And what do you want to leave behind? Big choices, you know, on the scale of life. I wish you well. I wish you blessed be. I wish you a blessed Mabon. And if you have any creative things, like your pie, or maybe if you want to make a basket, or, you know, share your fruits that you have found, share them. I would love to see how Mabon reaches you. There are so many ways. And I will see you next time. Shamnali Gray, Goddess Creations. Bye.